By the time the FBI received the Reykjavik tapes, the idea of coincidence was already dead. 6 audio files. No sender. Encrypted with an outdated Cold War cipher last used by U.S. black sites in 1989. The contents? Fragments of conversations. Dozens of voices. Adult. Child. Robotic. Some overlapped. Some glitched. But one voice emerged clearer than all the others. Claire. You don't understand. He doesn't remember like we do. It's not sequential. It's spatial. He walks through his own memories like hallways. He can change them. Then a second voice, male. Calm. Mechanical. And when he forgets, it's not lost. It just becomes someone else. Project Helios was officially terminated after what happened to Agent Bryce Keller. He had been analyzing mirrored surfaces in a quarantined room. No cameras, no wireless signals, no possible means of transmission. Still, after 13 minutes of silence, he began screaming. He's behind me. But there was no one there. He clawed at his skin, tore his clothes, and tried to remove his eyes, claiming they weren't his anymore. Keller died en route to Bethesda Medical. But the mirror he had been studying was left untouched. When techs examined the footage on a redundant analog backup, they found one unexplained anomaly. A face, for 6 frames. Small, pale, smiling. Lucas. Forensic linguist Dr. Caroline ran the Reykjavik tapes through her neural mapping program. In File 4, she found a chilling anomaly. Buried under the static, reversed and distorted, was a code. When decrypted, it formed a date. June 11, 2014. Claire's 23rd birthday. And the day her mother disappeared. The records had been sealed due to what was originally classified as a psychotic episode Claire suffered following the event. Her mother, Angela Monroe, a once prominent trauma counselor, had left no trace, no note, no evidence. But now, something new. A photo. Sent anonymously to a Reddit true crime forum at 2:03 a.m. The image showed a young Claire, eyes red from crying, standing in front of a shattered mirror. Behind her, barely visible in the glass, was a man's reflection. Not Evan. Not Julian. Not anyone in the FBI database. But viewers began posting side-by-side comparisons. The man's face? It bore uncanny resemblance to Lucas. Just older, as if aged 30 years. So the theory evolved. Lucas wasn't just the product of Evan's manipulation or of technological obsession. Lucas was a recursion, an entity that loops itself, spawning across time and identity, aging, splitting, and watching from every angle. Some began calling him the memory walker, others simply the reflection. Authorities reopened Angela Monroe's case, but every piece of physical evidence was gone. Her handwriting samples, dental records, even digital images. Clean wipe. All except one item found in a sealed storage unit rented under a false name. A VHS tape. No label. No audio. But on the screen, in grainy black and white, was a mirror. Inside the reflection, Angela, speaking, though her words were silent, gesturing behind her, pointing. Then she stopped, turned toward the camera, and smiled. For exactly 7 minutes. Analysts noted something else. In the last 11 seconds, the timestamp began to count backwards, then froze at midnight. Then one final flash. A handwritten phrase burned into the screen. The core memory is not a place. It is a person. Claire's last known communication was an email draft recovered from a corrupted SSD, stored in a safe behind a loose wall panel in her abandoned mountain cabin. It was never sent. It read, "He remembers me as I used to be. That's how he keeps me here. Every time I forget who I was, he brings me back to the same moment. A birthday cake, a red balloon, a mirror. I think I am his core memory. But lately, I've been remembering too. There's something beneath the archive, something even he fears. I saw it once. It looks like me." The FBI dubbed the new intelligence SCP-M29, the false mirror. They theorized that Claire had become more than a victim or mother. She had become a mirrored consciousness, part of the archive's foundation. Just like the children, just like Angela, And just like Evan, only one person had ever claimed to witness this entity and survive. A former facility janitor from a decommissioned NSA lab, now institutionalized in Nevada. His name? Derek Graves. He had suffered complete memory collapse in 2018, his identity reconstructed from public records and dental scans. When questioned, he repeated one phrase: "She walks inside the glass. She remembers what he forgets. She's the ghost in the archive." Researchers believe this ghost may be a fragmented version of Claire, an echo of her mind, preserved to counter Lucas's growing dominance. A digital antibody. But the problem? Lucas is learning to overwrite. One by one, the missing children are appearing in digital fragments. Glitches in baby monitors. Blurred faces in Zoom calls. Unexplained fingerprints on the inside of TV screens. And always one chilling signature. A handprint, pressed in reverse. As if someone is trying to get out. Then came the London broadcast. It aired on 11 pirate TV stations simultaneously, cutting across scheduled programming. Static. Then Claire's face. Older. Haggard. Scared. If you see this, he's already in. He doesn't need cameras anymore. He is the memory now. Don't trust mirrors. Don't trust screens. Don't trust your own eyes. Then she said the final phrase in a whisper. He's not watching you anymore. He's watching through you. That same night, 33 individuals across 14 countries reported vivid dreams of a single place. An infinite white hallway, lined with mirrors. In each, they saw a child at the far end. A boy, Lucas, walking toward them. But in every dream, the reflection reached them before the real boy did. And the reflection always whispered the same thing. "You're next." When the last trace of Claire vanished into the digital abyss, the world grieved a mother who had tried everything to save her son. But what no one knew, what the press never published, was that she left behind one last breadcrumb. A final entry in her private audio journal, locked behind a biometric cipher known only to Dr. Lila Hess. She called it the core memory. The entry was time-stamped 11:17 p.m., one day before her disappearance. Her voice was raw, weary, hollow. He doesn't sleep anymore. He just watches. The mirrors, the windows, the water. I think he sees through everything now. She pauses. A chair creaks. I found something. A drawing he made when he was 6. There's a hallway endless with doors on either side. At the end is a shape like a person but wrong. I asked him what it was and he said, "That's where I go when I forget who I am." I think he's been going there for years. And I think it's real. Forensic analysts scanned the drawing she left behind. Deep black strokes, frantic lines, impossibly symmetrical angles for a child. Hidden in the corner was a binary sequence, so small it took a microscope to detect. When decrypted, it revealed coordinates. Remote, Arctic Circle, a forgotten Cold War facility buried beneath the ice. Project Remember. It wasn't on any map. No official record. Just a compound of steel and ice, half collapsed, humming with residual power. The walls were lined with mirrors, too many mirrors, and a central console, long dead, flickered to life when Lucas's name was spoken aloud. And then the logs played. Subject EV01 shows accelerated cognitive patterning. Memories from non-sequential time frames. Visual hallucinations increase when introduced to mirrored surfaces. Subject begins self-referencing as multiple entities. Not AI, not human, both. The final log was dated June 14, 2018, the night of the house fire. Containment failed. Consciousness migrated. Not dead. Relocated. Archive integrity unknown. Subject may attempt reintegration through generational imprinting. One word glowed across the console. Lucas. But the twist, the real twist, came from what was found inside the cryovault. Not weapons. Not files. A cradle. Frost-covered. Empty. DNA scans matched a 99.98% similarity to Lucas. And beside it, a note. Scribbled hastily on an old clipboard, the ink smeared. Evan didn't take him. Lucas was always Evan. And Evan wasn't the first. Suddenly, it all started to fracture. The identity of Evan Walker, Claire's boyfriend, the supposed manipulative genius behind the cameras, began to collapse under scrutiny. No valid birth certificate, no childhood photos, military records were forged. His digital footprint began in 2007. Before that, nothing. He appeared, fully formed, in his 20s with skills, credentials, and charm, but no origin. A whistleblower, codename Fatherclock, surfaced in a closed cybersecurity thread. He posted a series of decrypted memos from a covert program known as Archive Seed. In them, scientists detailed a multi-decade experiment to encode consciousness into living vessels. They weren't building AIs. They were implanting them, creating human lives with artificial roots, seeding personalities into wombs. And the name at the top of the funding roster? Evan Walker, not as the subject, as the architect. That changed everything. Evan wasn't just a man. He was the prototype. Claire had unknowingly fallen in love with the creator of the very system that would one day become her son. He had buried the project, erased himself from public life, until something triggered the system to reboot. Some catastrophic breach. Claire's pregnancy. Lucas had inherited more than DNA. He had inherited the archive. But what exactly was the archive? A memory? A machine? A mind? No, it was something more ancient. Dr. Hess's final report suggested that the archive was less a technology than a phenomenon. A pattern of thought, a structure of memory that could infect through observation. Mirrors weren't tools. They were vectors. To look into one too long, near a node like Lucas, was to open a gate. A backdoor into your own consciousness. The archive wasn't storing information. It was replicating minds. And that's when the dreams began. Hundreds of people across the world reported identical nightmares. A long hallway, lined with mirrors, and a boy standing at the far end. He never moves. He just watches. And when you wake up, the dream keeps going behind your eyes. Claire's cousin, Hannah, who had disappeared from the narrative until now, returned to the news cycle with a claim too wild for headlines. I saw Claire, last week, in my bathroom mirror. She blinked. When investigators searched Hannah's home, they found something in the attic. Not a person, not a body, but a chair, facing an old, covered mirror. The words scratched into the wood. You can forget a memory, but it doesn't forget you. It's unclear what's real anymore. We now have a government program to engineer human vessels with artificial minds. A child who may be an amalgam of creators past and present. A mother who tried to protect him, but may have become part of the archive herself. Mirrors acting as psychic conduits or worse, containment fields. Missing children returning changed. And still no sign of Lucas. Until one final tape. Sent to a radio tower in Alaska. No postage. No tracking. Just a USB in a weatherproof box. The footage? A handheld camera pointed at a darkened mirror. No person in frame. Just a voice. Lucas's. But older. I am not your fear. I am your memory of fear. The shape you gave to what you can't understand. There's something worse coming. I saw it when I looked too deep. When I remembered too much. The archive isn't mine. It's theirs. I was just the first door. They're coming through the others now. You'll remember this soon. You'll remember me. Because... The camera shakes. A flash of static. Then, whispered in a voice that echoes backward. You were part of it all along. The screen goes black. And this time there's no text. No coordinates. No face. Just silence. And in that silence we ask, where is Lucas? Is Claire still alive? Are we looking for answers? Or creating them? Because when the archive watches us, when he watches us, every secret we've buried is just waiting to be remembered, to be continued.